Alright, I think we're good. This is now my take 2 because my phone decided to stop filming. Love when that happens. So this week is just going to be kind of like a little chill and chat, a little knit and chat and talk about some graphic novels. Because I wanted to talk about some of my favorites. So it's essentially the podcast without the actual podcast. It's just delightful. I'm just going to talk about things that I like. I got a new laptop this week. You can see it here. It's great. It's upside down. It's great. So that I can edit videos and do more design work and stuff, which I've been enjoying a lot, but it still needs to be set up. It very much is not set up. I only got it on Tuesday, and I've been very busy. Also, Borderlands 3 came out today, and I'm on my lunch break right now, so obviously I'm not playing video games, but that's pretty much what I'm spending my evenings doing this weekend, unless there's something else that comes up that I need to do. So, sorry, drinking my chai. Yeah, no regular podcast this week, but I thought I would still record something so that I had something to upload for fun. Whatever. So this is stream of consciousness. This is not going to be edited. So if I start going blah, that's what's normally in the video. I just usually cut it out so you guys don't have to see that. I'm also going to be knitting on this hat that I've been trying to work on for like over a week. This is the commission for my coworker. And I've just been getting frustrated because I've tried a bunch of different things. I had started a brioche hat. I actually almost finished a brioche hat. Then I didn't like how it looked. So now I'm doubling up the yarn that I had originally bought for it with some yarn that I had in my stash that's been in there forever. To make basically this like plain ribbed hat that I normally make. Which like it's kind of what he wanted anyway, so I was getting fancy because I thought I should get fancy, and I'm losing my yarn. But wasn't necessary. Also, my shirt that I'm wearing says Yes All Witches, and it is from the wizard rock band Tongues and the R's. I love them. You should check them out. Yeah, so let's start talking about graphic novels, and hopefully my phone won't shut off on me while I'm trying to record. So, first one that I have up here is Seconds by Brian Lee O'Malley. So you may be familiar with his work because he wrote the Scott Pilgrim... See, there it is. The Scott Pilgrim series. He also has written... I think he only has 2 other ones. There's only 2 other ones that I know about. Seconds, and then there's also one called Lost at Sea. The reason why I particularly like this one is because it is a little supernatural. There's kind of the whole, like, house spirit kind of thing going on. Like, you must appease the house spirit. And it's also about kind of an asshole. The main character is just kind of an asshole. And, as much as sometimes it can be a little grating to read about characters that are kind of awful and treat people badly, I find it interesting sometimes to see a better perspective, or, like, a different perspective, rather than just always reading stuff about, like, these good people. Like, no, like, this is a compelling story about someone who's a complete asshole. So, yeah, I like it. Also, this is what the art looks like, because that's part of, like, what my selection process is for graphic novels. I think I forgot to say, like, the whole reason why I wanted to do this, since this is take 2. The whole reason why I started getting into graphic novels even more recently, first of all, I can get them pretty inexpensively at a secondhand bookstore called Second and Charles that's, like, right next to the place that I get poke most Fridays. But also, because I haven't really had time to read full novels, or, like, I've gotten a little flighty about what kind of genre I want to read, so I'll pick up a book and I'll read a couple chapters and then forget about it and then pick up another book. We have a bunch of books in our house, so it's not like there's a shortage of books. It's just more of I have a hard time committing to a book for long enough to actually read the whole thing. And I've read a few books this year, like, definitely more than I think the average adult, honestly. But it's nice sometimes to just have something that's shorter. Like, even though this looks huge, it's still a lot of pictures, you know, it's not all text. So I can read these in, like, a day or 2 and not, like, you know, if you put it down for too long, then you're like, oh, I have to go back because I don't remember. I don't know. So this helps with my attention span. So anyway, Seconds, really beautiful. I love the artwork. That's the main character, who's an asshole. And yeah, really pretty. Yeah, so that's the first one. Next is Blue is the Warmest Color. So this one, you've probably heard of because there was a movie made out of it that was very controversial because the director was a man and the lesbian sex scene was not great and like too long. But it's beautiful. Like the actual graphic novel is beautiful. I think the graphic novel is a little bit better, but it is definitely a lot sadder. Um, Definitely a trigger warning on this one because it is rough to get through. But if you're in the right mindset, it's a really beautiful, heartbreaking story. So I'm not gonna linger too long with this one because I feel like a lot of people know this story already. Next, I have 2, and it is the Adventure Zone. So, oh no. Look, I'm trying to be fancy because I still want to knit, but this isn't happening, is it? Look, they're kind of on display there. So these 2 are the Adventure Zone graphic novels. So the second one, Murder on the Rockport Limited, just came out in July, and then Here There Be Gerblins came out last year. So if you don't know anything about the Adventure Zone, it is a D&D podcast played by 3 brothers and their dad. And yeah, you should check it out because I talk about it a lot because I love it. It's one of my favorite things. But they started making a graphic novel series of each of the little arcs within like the big overarching plot line. So they're really cool. They're so obviously it has like the McElroys as the writers, but then Carrie Peach is the one who did the actual art, and it is cool as shit. I love it. I especially love the colors in this because depending on the different feelings of things that are happening, there's different color schemes. She's really, really great with color. So yeah, highly recommend it if you're looking for something kind of nerdy. I don't think you necessarily need to have listened to the podcast to read these, but I think I love them more because I have read the podcast and it's really cool to see these scenes visualized on paper, sometimes a little bit different than I had imagined them. So that's one. And then the next one is actually a newer one to me. I found this one, once again, at Second & Charles, and I had read about it online and decided to pick it up. And it's called Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. So this is another one in that line of, along the line of, you know, the writing about characters that are assholes. This one in particular I really liked because I feel like sometimes, especially with, like, gay characters, there can be a little bit of sloppy writing. Like, a character will be gay and an asshole, and then it's just kind of excused in the writing, which I don't like, because you can still be an asshole. Like, you can still be called out for being an asshole, even if it's because you're being gay. It's because you're being gay. It's because you're gay. You know, and I don't like when it's just kind of written off as like, oh, well, like, no big deal. It's not like it's that big a deal. It's just because they're gay. Well, no, they've still hurt people and it's still bad. So I think that's why I liked this, is because there's a gay asshole and she is treated as such, and you see someone going through the process of kind of accepting the fact that, like, and like respecting themselves and saying, I shouldn't have to put up with this. I love that about it. And it's really beautiful. The artwork is just gorgeous. It's this like pink and black and white kind of thing, and like the pink is used to accent certain objects and things that are important. Yeah, I really love this art style. I think one of the things that I often look for in a graphic novel is a cool art style, because that's a big part of it. So anyway, that's a really good one. Highly recommended. That's a newer one that came out more recently. I can't remember if it came out this year or last year. Let me see if I can find the page. Don't know. Oh, it's on the back. 2019. Yeah. And one thing I can say about publishers, First Second tends to have a lot of the stuff that I really like. You know, they publish the Adventure Zones. Oni Press is the one that does Brian Lee O'Malley stuff, I think. I can't remember if that was also, but Oni Press and First Second. Like, if you look at this stack, First Second, First Second, First Second, First Second, First Second, First Second. So, yeah. I like a lot of First Second published stuff. Next one is Something New by Lucy Nisley. So I got into her, I think this is the first one that I got from her. I got it last year, and it's about weddings. It's about planning a wedding. I do really like these, kind of like memoir, like autobiographical type novels a lot. Yeah, so, yeah, talking about weddings, I got it last year when I was planning our wedding, so it kind of was helpful, like, in just dealing with the chaos, especially once we decided to do our little special wedding, which, as October's coming up, I'll probably have a special guest on the podcast at some point, because I wanted to talk about the wedding, and I figured it would make sense to have my wife here, so, yeah, I love her stuff because it is all kind of, like, autobiographical. She also has one called Relish, which is about her relationship with food and how her mom was a cook, and, like, there's recipes in it, and I just think the layouts are clever. She's really funny. And then the one that came out the most recently, which I don't know why I didn't bring it out here, but I love it too. And of course I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's about babies. Like, it's about her experience being pregnant, which, like, we're not planning on having kids anytime soon, but it's something that's in the future. And honestly, it was like half, this is the story of how I had a baby, but also half, like, here's the information I wish I was told. Which, like, it almost sounds like, oh, that's boring, but really, honestly, like, it's so clever how she writes things. Her comics are really colorful. She has a funny, witty sense of humor. Like, bridal marketing schemes. Just too funny. I absolutely adore these. Yeah, the baby one I was reading and I was like, this is fucking next level. I love it. So I definitely highly recommend checking out her stuff. Also, she writes, she has an Instagram that I started following, and she, like, has little, like, mini comics and stuff on there, so I would definitely recommend that, to kind of keep up with her. Next one's another classic, Fun Home. So I got into Fun Home a few years ago because I knew all about Alison Bechdel, because I did a lot of film studies class, so we would talk about the Bechdel test, which honestly is, like, not really a thing. I could go, I just, like, actually med. I could go into that, like, forever, but yeah, I took a couple film classes in college, and we talked about stuff like that. I did an entire paper on the Bechdel test, and then kind of, like, did another paper that kind of took back everything that I wrote in that one, and back and forth. Anyway, but this is kind of what I would consider the quintessential gay graphic novel. I think for me, it feels like required reading. It's just incredible. Like, it's called Fun Home, a family tragicomic. It is very sad. It very much explores how being closeted can affect a family, and coming to terms with your sexuality, and the musical is amazing. There is a musical. You should listen to the music. Fucking Ring of Keys is transformative. I don't know what else to say about it. I feel like it's just one of those that, like, you should pick up and read. It's really amazing. And there's also a companion piece called Are You My Mother? Something like that. So this is more about her relationship with her dad, and then she also wrote a sequel that is about her relationship with her mother, which I found really compelling. So the second one almost hurt me more than this one did, for various reasons. So yeah, that's a good one. This next one is probably the first graphic novel that I distinctly remember feeling some sort of way about, and it is Blankets by Craig Thompson. So I recently actually purchased Craig Thompson's second graphic novel called Habibi, and it's because I want to reread it. I read it when I was younger, and I have since read some things about it regarding what, is kind of messed up about how he wrote. But that doesn't change the way of how I feel about this. So this is another memoir type graphic novel. This one definitely heavy trigger warnings for sexual abuse. It is heartbreaking. Like, and I read a lot of sad stuff, but this is probably one of the saddest things I've ever read. It's utterly heartbreaking. It's beautiful. The art, oh my god, I have to show you some of this. It's this like dark, very dark, scribbly, sketchy type. I honestly want to pick it up and read it again because I love it so much. Like, it deals with Christianity, it deals with sexual abuse, it deals with trying to find intimacy in relationships. It's just beautiful. So this one is a thick one. It's hefty. It is a good, let's see, are there page numbers on this? 582 pages. But yeah, I recommend this one if you're looking for something a little broody. Especially, I feel like it's good to read, like, in, I don't know, winter with your cup of tea and, like, toasty blanket. Just curl up and cry while it's snowing outside. I say that because I've done it. Yeah, I think I read this high school, either, like, my senior year of high school, or like right when I left high school. So it's definitely something that I hold close in my heart. And when I finally got my own copy of it, because I had borrowed it from my friend, yeah, that, whew, yeah. So this is actually only $30 for the soft cover version. So that's not bad for a thick graphic novel. So I have another two that kind of go together. It is this one, In Real Life, by Cory Doctorow and Jen Wang, and then Jen Wang's kind of debut solo venture, The Prince and the Dressmaker. So first, this one, female protagonist, about video games. She's a gamer, and it also talks a lot about issues in other countries with farming, like in video games. Because if you didn't know, there are, like, and I know I've read and seen documentaries about this before, there are other countries where, you know, games like World of Warcraft, they'll go in and farm for, like, gold and stuff like that, and then they'll, like, it'll be, like, teenagers, like, sitting in cafes doing this to make money for their families. Like, hours and hours on end. Which just, like, blows your mind. So this graphic novel deals with that a lot. It's so pretty. So pretty. And, like, the fantasy settings. You have both in-game and out-of-game stuff. So beautiful. This one's a really good one. And it's a quick read. But especially if you're a gamer, this is a really good one. And then she released this last year. See, I keep forgetting when things were published. Yeah, last year, 2018. So this one I just recently got, and I've already read it twice. I adore it. It's about gender roles. It's about finding acceptance in whatever you are. It is A Prince and His Dressmaker. I don't really want to give away too much because, honestly, it is an experience to go through it. There were literally moments where I gasped, giggled, like, with glee. So I don't even know what else to say about this one. I adore it. Like I said, I just got this, like, less than a month ago, and I've already read it twice. And my wife also read it, and, like, she read it first, and she's like, you gotta tell me when you get to the part when you gasp, and I did. But it is so pretty. I once again, love the colors. Adore it. Look at that. Gorgeous. So, that's a really good one. And then the last one, last but absolutely not least, when I went off to college, I started getting into Ramsey Buyer. I think her website used to be like Ramsey Everyday Pants or something like that. So she was a webcomic writer. Honestly, I I follow her Instagram, I think, on my, like, main account, and I think, like, I still, like, I see stuff about her, but I don't actually know if she does this stuff anymore. Like, I don't know if she does cartooning stuff anymore as much, or if it's just, like, freelancing opportunities. But for a while, she did, this one's called Little Fish. I don't have her other book in a physical copy, but I've been looking for one, and that one's called Year One. I really loved Year One. So it was basically a cleaned up collection of her daily webcomics that she did, which were about, like, moving to a new town, and, like, she found a boyfriend, found love, and, like, dealing with, you know, past relationships that just kind of keep coming up, and just, God. This specifically, I think this one was about moving to college. So, like, this came out when I was still dealing with that, too. So, yeah. She lives in Philly. Great Philly artist. Her work is kind of inspired me to want to learn how to draw. I really like how kind of punk it is. I like that there's, like, this section, it's, like, stuff from her diary that's definitely written in, was typed up on a typewriter, like, inspired by zines, but just, like, feeling self-conscious, learning how to be independent and live in a completely different place than you were, like, that I related to so hard. So I think I had bought this as a digital copy when I was in college because I didn't really have a lot of room for books, but then more recently I was at Second and Charles and they had a copy of it, so I had to get a physical copy. So yeah, like I said, I still really want Year One. This one's great. So that is not even close to all of the graphic novels that I've read, let alone have. I have a shelf that is overflowing of graphic novels in my room. It also has all of my French books, like French novels in French. But I just really wanted to share those. So if you need any other recs or if you have any questions about any of these, let me know. I'm definitely willing to nerd out and talk more about them. In the meantime, I'm hoping that there'll be a podcast up next week. Like I said, I just did not have the time this week to work on one. And yeah. Why are the paints over? Sorry, when stuff gets moved around and it was over, but it's over there now. The paints are there. Anyway, hoping I'll film a podcast next week. Hopefully I'll actually have stuff to show you too, because this hat, like I said, has been kind of holding me back. This is the 5th, 6th, who knows how many tries, but hopefully this one will be done. And I can work on some other stuff. I've already got my basket prepped here of projects that I'm going to talk about for next time. So yeah, so I hope you all have a really great week and weekend. I'll be spending my weekend playing Borderlands, so if you need me, shoot me a private message on Instagram and I'll answer you when I can. But I gotta get back to work and then maybe go grab myself some lunch, so see you around. Bye.